You are listening to the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network.
Wake up to the world you've been missing. Time to jump out of bed in the morning. No day, no life, now we're living. Can you feel it in the air that you're breathing? Time to show 'em what you're made of. Let's get back on track. Are you ready for a come on? Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Are you ready now? You're lifting off the ground. Welcome back. No calming down. Can you feel it all around? Welcome back.
Well, welcome back to Super Mega Crash Beyond. If you know this movie, maybe you know why I'm doing this little impression. This thing that I'm doing here. It's not a very good one. I haven't done George Bush in a while.
And you know what? When I heard him do it, it'd been a long time where I was like, oh shit. You know, taking me back to SNL days, you know?
That's right.
So you should have said it. You're being prudent.
Don't be, wouldn't be prudent. Anyway, welcome back to Super Mega Crash Beyond. I'm Stephen White. With me, as always, co-host Lacey Finley.
And happy Monday.
We're talking about I feel like a very forgotten 90s. I guess it's circa 90s because it came out in the 1990s.
Right, like 1990. So we're still very much like a foot in both worlds, I guess. Like the 80s are still, kind of present. You'll see some things where you're like, yeah.
And the 90s are starting to creep in. It's just it's that middle ground area. So,
well, it was the clothes. Because you could tell in the 90s when men started to wear a little bit baggier slacks with a oversized button-up shirt, which was huge in the 90s. And it just took me back because, those rayon shirts that, I was just like, oh, this is where I remember this now. I remember when men wore this all the time, Not making fun of you. We all wore dumb shit,
Yeah. I mean, it didn't, the 80s clothes of it all definitely seemed like they were starting to phase out just a hair. Like the 90s fashion was starting to creep in. So it's, again, all in this weird middle ground where you're starting to see things of both worlds.
Yeah. And because I feel like 90s we did more of the grunge. We didn't put ourselves together anymore. Everything was baggy and comfortable. And you had your posh 90s too, because that's when midriffs were huge, of course,
Right.
And, when all of that became a thing.
Yeah. So have we even said what the name of the title?
No, I just assumed everyone saw the title and they're just we know what you're talking about. But yeah.
Yeah. A 90s comedy that I feel like has been forgotten, called Opportunity Knocks. This was, as I understand it, because he'd been working prior to this. As far as movies are concerned, obviously he was a big deal on Saturday Night Live at this point.
I was going to say, I thought he was on that already, but yeah.
I think this was one of the very first starring roles for Dana Carvey in a movie. He had done side characters and bit parts in movies, but this was his first leading role in a film.
And kind of like a rom-com, which is, sorry, Dana, I wouldn't have put you there. In my head, they're actors, let them act, but I go by that mantra now. I'm never going to be like, oh, you cast so-and-so. Let's see, let them cook. Let's see. We've all said that before in the past and it's bit us in the ass. So just let them do their thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't have pegged him for that, though.
Yeah, it doesn't really seem like it would have fit because, obviously we kind of saw something to, not really to this degree in Wayne's World, but it's sillier. And granted, also, I know Wayne's World is after this. I think that was 92. Yeah. This is 90. So,
yeah.
But comedy is his wheelhouse. That's what we know him for. He's just a funny guy. You can't take him seriously. And here we kind of, I don't really feel like we take him seriously to a degree. There are obviously some serious scenes and whatnot, but he gets to play in his realm. They wrote this for him, or at least it seems that way. I don't know that for a fact.
They definitely made sure they put in moments where he could be Dana Carvey.
Yeah. Probably had something in the script that was just like, let Dana do whatever.
Yeah, he's got to do something. Yeah, he's got to be Dana in some way. So the audience is like, ah, ha, ha, there it is. You know, it's probably where the impression came from.
So one of the reasons, like I said, I wanted to talk about this was because I don't know if anybody talks about this. I don't know of people talking about this. You even said before we started recording that you're not sure you even saw this movie.
It's like certain bits of it kind of had that deja vu to it, but I'm like, I don't know if I'm just hyping it up in my head or if I've legitimately seen bits and pieces and just forgotten it over the years. But yeah, when you said it and I looked at the title, I was like, you know what? I don't remember, you know, or looked at the cover art.
Now, I will say before we dive in, that I've watched this movie so many times since I was younger, okay? I think this was one of those movies that came on television. We recorded it on a VHS tape. And that was the only copy of this movie that I had for the longest time, was just a recorded VHS copy off of NBC, you know.
Nice. Yep.
That's all I remember. And for years, I had not even seen a full cut of this movie. You can think about that for a moment, you know.
Oh, because the commercials and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I edited for television, the whole nine, you know. That's what I had for the longest time. So getting to see it in its entirety, uncut, unedited, was a treat for me once I got much older.
Sure.
Because, again, it wasn't, like, readily available everywhere, you know. VHS tapes and so on and so forth before DVDs and have you. So anyway, I watched this movie all the time because it was just something that was there. And so I feel like maybe I have some blinders on to some of the things that probably could be considered. And I've also realized that we seem to be going and touching on
like
these
we're
movies.
finding all of the problematic
Films.
movies of the day. Yeah. But I mean, I'm assuming that there's probably easier to find problematic movies in those times anyway. So there's probably always going to be some part where you're like, that's not going to fly anymore, you know, or whatever.
And even to the degree that I understand what could be problematic, I don't feel like its intention was to be that, okay? Like they weren't sitting there thinking, hey, let's just shit on a whole group of people or let's just
several,
mock this.
In fact.
Yeah. I don't feel like that was the intention.
No.
But again, I understand that some people can take it that way. So if we're talking about it and it seems like we're being glib, I'm not meaning to be.
Yeah.
It's
just what it was. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I know. There's probably no good way to say it, but you know, it was present. It's there, and he did impressions. That's what he did. They didn't really worry about what kind of impression as much in the day. It was just like, oh, that's a good impression. It's funny when he does it. Put it in. You know,
it's silly. It sounds, you know, like a silly, goofy little sounding character, and. We'll get into it. Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't want this to start off on a bad foot. I really do enjoy this movie. It brings me joy.
Well, we're in a day and age where everything has to come with a disclaimer, I feel like. So
especially of a certain era.
Yeah.
So
we hadn't even really started it. It's talking about what the movie even is.
Yeah. So the movie is very basic and kind of what you said. It is kind of a rom-com. I mean, in essence, that's what this film is. But I mean, it gets a little bit more. I mean, not too complicated. It's a pretty simple premise, and I think that's another reason I like this movie so much. Is it's just a simple movie. You know, it's not overly complicated. It doesn't try to just mind fuck you in some way where you're just like, I don't understand what's happening. It's just a simple movie. You know, simple premise, simple concepts, ideas, and it just a easy breezy. You know,
probably super
comedy.
cheap to make. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, had to really do a whole lot.
So, Dana Carvey, best known at this point, like he was riding high on Saturday Night Live at this point. He plays a con man by the name of Eddie Farrell. And when we first meet him, he's just waltzing down the sidewalk, minding his own business. And I love this setup because when you first watch this movie, it kind of takes you a minute to adjust once you realize what's going on. Or at least it did for me as a kid. So he's walking down the sidewalk, comes to a sidewalk where a bunch of people are waiting to cross the road. You see some people off in the background. The next thing you know, a guy walks off the curb and gets hit by a car. And then everybody's like, oh my God, freaking out. And then, of course, everybody surrounds this guy. They're checking on him, seeing how he's doing.
You had to have thought for a minute, like, oh my God, no one has a phone.
Yeah, exactly. For a moment.
When they were surrounding him, I'm like, man, if it were today, it would just be a sea of like people recording it, not helping still.
No.
But just recording it for whatever Instagram, Twitter post they want to get clicks on.
And there was only one person who said, let me go call the cops.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. Like you had to go find the phone though. That's what's great. Like I have to go get a phone. It's not like I can just yell, hey, everybody, and they're not gonna because it would break up the recording.
Yeah, of course. Don't want to do that.
So we have phones, but still useless.
So
But yeah.
Eddie goes over and he's just like, hey, I've saw what happened. Let me help. So they're trying to help this guy sort out what happened. So, the rich guy, of course, he was a BMW business guy, he did have a cell phone, by the way.
He did. But he had the little bag phone that sits in the console. Yeah. Still corded,
Still corded. And so he's trying to buy his way out of this situation because, Eddie's bringing it up and he's just like,
My cousin Al got hit one time like this. I think he got paid something like $1.5 million.
Yeah, as the guy's trying to like get cash out of his pocket. He's like, how's $100? And even in my head, I'm like, 100, dude? Like even in the 90s, healthcare was more than that.
Yeah, and he kept finding ways to like, I can't even afford a watch, and you just give him a lousy, $100.
Yeah. Yep.
So he's just like, all right, well, take this, until they got about what they needed, and he's just like, okay, well, I think I'm maybe good. They get the guy up, and then they walk away. Yeah. Cops appear. Everybody's fine, or at least it seems that way. So Eddie walks over to a newsstand. Next thing you know, the guy who got hit by the car is perfectly fine.
Yep.
It's all a con. So that was
They're
his
friends.
buddy. Yeah. His buddy, his partner Lou, who came in and they orchestrated this whole thing. So this is what these two guys are. Eddie and Lou are con men who orchestrate these big schemes. And apparently they were, or at least Lou owes some money. Because as they go home, who do they get ran into but a loan shark?
I remember that guy. Like when I saw him, I was like, oh, because he was like from Back to the Future, wasn't he?
Was he?
The bald guy. Hold on, let me see.
Oh, you're talking. Okay. Well, I was talking about his lackey, what was it? Pinky.
Oh,
the big guy, yeah. So he shows up and starts asking for his what was it, like $1,000? A couple of grand?
Yeah,
maybe?
it was $1,000. And he had like 240 or some shit like that,
Yeah. Whatever they got from the car accident.
The accident. Yeah, whatever cash he had.
So they pretty much give him that, said, we need to get however much more before the 24 hours.
What do I look like, a rocket scientist? And he's like, what's the math left? It's like, it's pretty even number there for you, buddy.
Yeah, it's not hard.
No.
I mean, it's
That's
hard
the joke.
for that guy. Yeah.
He's just a beef. He's just the muscle,
You gotta figure this out. Yeah. So now they're kind of caught, their hands tied. They got to figure out where they're going to come up with this money. Mm-hmm. Then we see them in action, trying to come up with some grand master scheme to weasel somebody out of a couple of $100. So, hey, I don't really know what their plan was with this scheme because it almost started off good, like you had a great idea, and then they didn't have it quite figured out yet, and that's where it kind of derailed. You should have stuck to a script, knowing exactly what you needed to do to separate it, because they separated, that was your opportunity to just ransack one person, ransacks the house.
And get out, yep.
So yeah, they show up middle of a suburb somewhere. Now, you're Chicagoan. Do you know what suburb this is probably supposed to be, give or take?
Oh, you know what? I didn't really even pay that much attention. But if it's like a nice area, it's probably either like Gold Coast or probably just the burbs. Okay. Like Palatine has a lot of rich folks in it. Northbrook has a lot of rich folks in it.
Because it seemed like a rich part of town. Plus the house that comes into play later seemed like it was right on a beach. So I would assume that's one of the
Gold
lakes.
Coast, then.
Yeah.
You pay a lot for that down there. Because I was trying to think of like, it seemed neighborhoody. So that's why I would instantly go to like a suburb, but there could be some nicer ones downtown that I just don't get to see because like I don't have that money and I definitely don't shop at Gold Coast. So yeah, like I don't have that kind of money. But yeah, that would be my guess if they were off the lake.
That sounds fancy enough. That sounds like rich town. So we'll go with that.
If you can afford to live down there, you've got money. It's stupid expensive, like even for an apartment.
Well, regardless, I don't know if the people whose house they got into is there, but could possibly be because of the neighborhood. Anyway, so they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. They go to this guy's house, just some random dude dressed up like they were from the gas company, talking about there's a gas leak, freaking out, trying to, get ready, let's go. We got to figure out where this leak is. Bullshitting, whatever. The guy's freaking out. He doesn't know because it sounds like a panic. There could be a gas leak, could blow up. Everything's chaos.
They look official. They got their clipboard and uniform.
He's kind of in this point of panicked and weary at the same time. Like he wants to believe it, but he's also not sure. And he's just like, he's stuck. He's like, what do I do?
I need my wife. What's going on?
And then, of course, the wife will eventually show up and sort it all out because the idea was separate, find something to take. But this is where I felt like they fucked up because if he could have taken that entire TV out, he could have already had it out in the vehicle versus waiting for Eddie. And I don't know. It didn't work out like it
They should have taken smaller things. I feel like if they would have gone into like the bedroom and found jewelry or something, that you could just shove in your pockets really quickly. But I mean, then we wouldn't have, this comedic moment of them trying to steal a TV.
Plus, they should have asked about other people in the house too and where they are.
Did.
But
he didn't ask. I think he offered it up that he asked if anyone was in the house and he's like, well, my wife just took our kids to karate or something like that. And so
but I
they
guess
did mention it, but he didn't say like how long ago his wife left for karate, and clearly not that long ago.
No, it was clearly
or long enough ago that they're coming back now.
So they try to trap the guy downstairs, get him to where they can get this TV out, and of course, as they're trying to get the TV out, the dumbest shit too is it a gas TV or whatever.
Right?
I mean, come on, you didn't know what the hell. Again, you didn't have a good plan in mind.
What other excuse could you have with carrying their TV?
You
it's
could
just
have said, okay, so if there's a gas pocket, as it were, you got to move this TV, got to clear out a room or something to decompress the gas pocket or whatever bullshit reason.
We're just moving it over here to the coffee table. Like, clearly, that's what we're not stealing it.
Yeah, we just got to get it out of the way because it could explode or whatever. Because I'm going to set it right here. We're going to go back in here, decompress, stay out, or whatever.
Yeah.
Figure out a way. But no, they just said something really stupid. And then, of course, let's call the police. And then they get their asses kicked by the fucking...
the kids.
2 out of the 3 ninjas.
Yep. I mean, they had it going and they were, these kids are going to what? I'm like, these kids are going to hand you your ass is what they're going to do. Of course, they had black belts on, so we're supposed to believe that they're,
like they can just...
12-year-old prodigies or some shit. I don't know.
It seemed to be the thing at the time, martial arts kids and whatnot. All the kids had to do it. I remember I had...
This is when parents made you have extracurricular activities where they actually made you be a human, which I don't know, maybe people still do that. I don't know. I still see a lot of parents bitching about like hockey equipment and shit like that. So I guess they still do, but I feel like it was more prevalent then. Like if you had a kid, they were in something. Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, sports, karate, gymnastics, whatever, like reasons to get them out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
Yeah, get out of the house.
So yeah, these 2 karate boys kicked their asses. I don't know if you noticed or not. I've seen this enough time. It looked like one was leading the other as far as movements, because when they ran outside, and there was even, I think, before, like in the house, when they made their pose, you could see one kind of looking to the other, like, is it time? Is it time? Is it time? And then
Probably
when they were
looking to the older brother.
looking, when it came to the jump at the outside, there was one, again, looking to the other like, jump. Okay. It's like, good job, buddy. You did it.
You did it. Look at you jumping and making a pose. Like you're a hero.
They were. So they ran him out, and they go down the road driving just like embarrassed, obviously, because who wouldn't be?
Sure.
And then Lou, he's I don't want to say he's the more criminal
simple
type.
Oh, okay. I was like, you can say simple of the two, because they're both kind of simple, I guess.
I mean, he seems like he's like he does the con thing, but he's also not against a little B&E.
Well, to me, I think I took that as, we're in shit. I need $700. I don't want to die or lose a limb or whatever they would have done. So he's like, you know what? We're just going to break into somewhere then. He's like, we're con men, man. And he's like, nope, we don't have time for a con.
Yeah.
You know?
He's like, look at the house, newspapers, lights off, no one's home. Boom, bang,
a nice
boom.
house.
Yeah, let's go. So Eddie's a little reluctant because he's just like, God damn it, I just don't want.
Yeah.
Again, he's very passionate about being a con man.
Like, well, I'm a con. I do this. Yeah. Like it's more smart, more cerebral what we do. We don't just break into somewhere. You know?
Right.
We're classy criminals.
Right. So they do their little B&E. They get in there. They are initially spooked by this pinball machine, which I've never known a pinball machine just to up and make noise out of the blue.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Like that.
I mean, but I think you just don't notice it because you're probably in like an arcade or something where they're all going off anyway. So you're just not even paying attention to it. But I feel like they would, because they want to tantalize you over. Like,
yes, but why would you have that feature on in your house?
I don't know. I'm assuming it's something that just comes with it, maybe, that it's not a feature. But I don't know, man.
Get on my nerves.
For comedy.
For comedy. So
comedy.
They get spooked, and then they come back in and they're just like, wait a second, all right, everything's fine. Let's grab something, let's go. And then as they're trying to find something, which looked like they almost stopped at a CD player or stereo or something like that, they hear the phone ring, which quacks like a duck. Cool, right?
Mallard phone. Yeah.
And as it rings, the
answering machine.
There we go. The
Can't even say
machine.
Voicemail. It was their answering machine.
I think that's because my mouth wanted to say voicemail, and I was like, that's not right.
That's what we're used to.
Yeah, I was struggling. That was my.
There used to be machines with a cassette tape in it. You had to rewind it to listen, and it recorded.
Big cassettes,
but they could hear
little
it.
cassettes. Yeah. So the answering machine picks up. They hear the message that someone is supposed to be house sitting, and that the guy whose house it is, he's gone
for several months.
Wherever.
To make sure we understood. I think he was in India or something, right?
Yeah, India. So they were just like, oh shit, we got to go. Let's get out of here before whoever comes home. And then as they're trying to rush out, they hear that the person who's supposed to be house sitting is the person leaving the message saying that he cannot house sit. Yep. And he's probably missed it. Sorry about your luck, but, I got to do my thing. He just seems like a happy-go-lucky guy. And then they're just like, oh, shit. Fucking A, let's party.
Free house.
Yeah. So they take advantage of the empty home that no one's going to be coming home to.
There's a pool table and, the stereo and all sorts of fun shit.
And the fact that they just left, that was bothers me, is the fact that they just left the refrigerator open.
Oh my God, right?
Just please shut it. Please shut it.
They don't have to pay the bill. So they're like, screw it,
Yeah.
Dreamsicles, woo, they've really got everything. I remember that line. Yeah.
With beer. Creamsicles and beer. Man, my stomach would be so tore up.
Oh my God. Like, I can't even imagine what the taste would be.
Yeah.
Like if you're belching beer and orange dreamsicle, like cream and beer. I don't know, man. Yeah. Not a combo I would have chosen.
So it was at this point, I guess we assume they got whatever they needed. They enjoyed their time there. They probably slept over and then took what they needed, got their money, and bailed out. And then they mentioned we do this odd transition to go meet Max, who is played by the great Milo O'Shea, the most Irish person I know. Or at least,
but not in this film.
Not in this film, but boy, I mean, he's just about as Irish as they come. I mean,
O'Shea, come on, it's almost like a cliche.
Sure.
Like O'Shea or O'Brien, you're like, yeah, of course,
So he's Eddie's uncle on his mom's side, and we kind of learn within this exchange because it starts off with him pretty much chewing him out. He's like, breaking and entering. What are you, stupid? And he's like, come on, you're a con man. You do better than that. I taught you better than that. Yeah. So then we find out that he raised by his uncle. This is what his uncle knew. His mom died when he was little. Yeah. And so this is just kind of what he does. He can't help it.
That's what he does.
He did what he could to raise him as well as he could.
Like, this is how I made my money. This is all I know. Come on, Eddie. We'll show you the ropes. We'll get you on it. Yeah.
So, we understand kind of his backstory at this point, like why he is kind of doing what he's doing. It was a fun little bit to kind of understanding everything.
Little background story. Yeah.
And understanding that Max you understand where his loyalty to the con comes from, because when Eddie's reluctant and being like, no, we're con men. Max is the reason. Max is just like, are you stupid? You don't do that. It's all about the game. Yep. So now they're trying to figure out, or at least after we kind of get that scene, we kind of come back to Eddie and Lou and going back to pay off Pinky. Yeah.
Yep.
And they kind of have a little moment with them. I felt like there was a bit out of this scene that got cut out. So see if you follow me here. So they go to the bar where Pinky's at. They lay down the money. And he's just like, you had to brought this out. I had to bury it. And they're just like, you couldn't even bury an 8-ball. He challenges them. Eddie does a little pull shot, does bank shots off. And then
he bets him like $40.
Something real simple.
Excuse me, $40, you play it a little bit small. You build up if you're a pool shark. What is the turn of phrase? I always get it. Whatever. Shark. And then you ease into it, man, when the money is bigger.
Yeah.
You don't do a freaking good shot like that off of $40 that you didn't even have a 20 to spot. Like, man, what did you think was going to happen? Anyway, but
great shot. Yeah, great shot. But obviously Pinky's he's not going to give up his money. No. So this is where I feel like there was a little bit more to this scene that got lost, because as he's pretty much saying he's not going to pay up, or at least he puts his pull cue down on the money. He's like, nah, we're not doing that. And then they cut to them getting thrown out of the bar, and it didn't feel like they had escalated anything. You know what I mean?
I thought that felt a little weird too. So I was assuming we were just supposed to believe that maybe Pinky and them, like, the bar's in their pocket. So he's like, kick them out. And so they did. Like, that was, I guess, how I filled in the gaps for them. But yes, it seemed weird that he won the shot and then all of a sudden they're just like getting tossed out basically by their pants and shirt,
Sure. I think, that tracks. I can get on.
The only thing I could come up with.
So after that, they're outside, they're frustrated, and then Lou looks over at Pinky's car and just starts wailing on it with his foot.
With his foot.
Yeah, just kicking it, and he's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm just frustrated. And he's like, hey, come on, hey, let's do something nice for the guy, okay? Let's give him a convertible. And then next thing you know, they're driving down the highway.
Yeah.
Got roof off of this bitch. Not a convertible car.
No. I guess they just had like a welding torch or something close by, or jaws of life or whatever. It looked burnt. So I'm assuming, they just burned the top right off.
Mm-hmm. Just ruin this car, but not as bad as it's going to get.
It's going to be. Yeah.
Okay, so here is probably one of the first scenes that people might go, problematic, oh my God.
Oh, very.
But in the context of the scene,
yeah,
kind of see what he's trying to do. You know, you play with it, and you just working, trying to hide who you are. So, yeah, as they're driving down the highway, the car phone that this particular... See, car phones were a thing.
It was, yeah. Legit, though. Like, it was hooked up to your car, basically. So, yeah.
Car phone starts ringing, and then Eddie he can't help himself. He's like, I have to. I want to see. And then they assume it's going to be Pinky because they assume this is Pinky's car. And then he answers with an
Indian accent. We're just going to say it.
Yeah,
he did a very, very cliche...
Greetings, my name is Douglas.
And then he does this, and then a little back of it was silly. Yeah. I still kind of chuckle. I can't help it. I can't help it.
It's the faces he makes when he does the things too, where it's just like, you're so freaking stupid, Dana. Like, you're just like, oh my God, why are you looking like that right now?
And the rhythmic delivery sometimes, like,
you do not talk when I talk. You do not talk when I talk. When I talk, you do not talk. It is very simple. When I talk, you do not talk. Now, who am I talking to?
Yeah, that. Well, I think that was just the silly thing because he just kept saying talk. You don't talk when I talk. I talk. That's pretty simple, right? When I'm talking, you're not talking, and I'm talking right now, so you should not be talking. Just like going on and on and on like that. It was just like, oh my God.
There's a rhythm to it that it just makes it funny. Okay, I'm sorry, I can't help it.
Yeah.
So I'm not condoning it. So anyway, as he's getting chewed out on the other side by this other guy who doesn't sound like Pinky because we heard Pinky well enough, and then finally we find out this is the big
boss man,
Sal Nichols, and then there's like, holy shit, this is Sal Nichols' car. Stop, get out, run, hightail it,
ditch that shit.
Yeah, and then we see the beautiful side of Chicago as this car gets.
I'm guessing they
ruined.
ditched it near South Side or something like that. Who knows what was bad in the 90s? If I'm honest, I didn't live there in the 90s. So.
Yeah, this car goes from just having no roof to having nothing left.
It was just the frame. I wouldn't have even known that was mine.
No.
Driving up behind it, I would have just passed by it because I didn't lose a frame to a car. I lost a whole car.
Yeah. A whole ass car.
A whole ass car. But I did have to find it hilarious when the cop stopped. Yeah. Because the cop stopped, pulled up behind it, gave it a ticket. And now, mind you guys, there's no doors, there's no wheels or anything left on it. It's literally the frame. I guess there was a windshield left for him to put the ticket on. And then he drove off. And that was that. I was just like, okay, well, that was funny. I don't know why I thought.
Yeah, it was. There was nothing left. Pretty much. And then so Sal does eventually show up late in the evening, sees the car.
Which I find hilarious. This was all one afternoon too.
Yeah.
That this whole car got chopped up. It's just one afternoon different. I don't know if it was the same group that we're supposed to believe that just kept coming back or if it was just different people that just kept taking stuff. But one afternoon was kind of like, oh, that was one day. Because I was like, why is he not looking for his car? I was assuming it was 2 or 3 days time,
No, I think this was all in one day. And I think you just had various people going, hey, someone's ripping apart that car. Let's go. Let's see what we got. And everybody just taking what they could out of it. I'm talking wheels, hubcaps, doors.
The seats were gone.
Seats, everything. But boy.
If you could unbolt it, they took it.
And what's so important about it, because it's not just about the car. And there's one instance, because you don't think about it in the moment until you find out what everything is. And so when you rewatch it, you pay attention and try to see who it was, because whoever got in the trunk, they're the ones who made out like bandits, because there was at least $100,000 in the trunk.
60 grand.
60 grand. Sorry. Yeah. There was $60,000 in the trunk.
Which is probably $100,000 in today's money. I'm kidding, but it could be. I don't know.
And that's what he's really pissed about. The car's secondary. He's like, that is not my concern. It is the money that was in the trunk. It's not there now. And Pinky is also there. And he tosses out Eddie and Lou's name, saying they're probably the ones that did it. They're the ones that you got to go find. So Pinky gets chucked off this bridge. How he survives, I don't know.
Mind you, not in water.
No, not in water. Like
You
in
didn't
the
hear
road.
a splash. He like fell on the road. Cars screeching. You hear him go or something, and I'm like, oh boy. And I'll just say my husband totally called how we were. I don't know if I should spoil it for people who are so invested in our retelling of the movie, but yeah. And I just laughed when he called it so well. I was like, well, there you go. It's like we've seen 90s movies before or something. I don't know. Anyway. But yeah, so he wants the money, and Sal has been tossed over the bridge.
Yeah, because he feels like he,
Well, I mean, Sal lost the car. Why was not Sal? Why did Pinky have Sal's car? Or were we supposed to believe Sal was in the bar?
No, bullshit.
So I would be like, why did Pinky even have your car, man?
Exactly.
Was he
That's a
supposed to
good
take
question.
it somewhere else? And he got distracted and decided to have a drink and play some pool instead? I don't know. Little hole there, I feel.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, good observation.
It's all your fault, Sal.
So now Eddie and Lou are trying to get the hell out of Dodge because they're being tracked. They know that they're being tracked. They don't know where to go, what they're going to do. They just know they need to get moving. Mm-hmm. And then as they're trying to get away, wouldn't you know it, the guys find him, or at least some of his goons.
Because they go back to their apartment.
Yes. And Sal's goons find them in their apartment.
Uh-huh. And see, now I have questions.
Okay.
Here's where I got a little confused, and maybe I just like blanked out somewhere or whatever, but they had a suitcase.
Mm-hmm.
If they did not take the money,
Yes.
why did they have the suitcase? Because like I feel like we saw it then and then never saw it again. Because they were running away from the bad guys, going down the fire escapes on the outside of the apartment, and they had the suitcase. And then they split from there. And then what happened?
They must
to
have
it?
dropped the suitcase. Because I think they
sure,
were
but
packing.
if it had 60 grand in it, you go in the dumpster and you pick up the suitcase. Like,
Oh, you're talking about the thugs.
Yeah. No, the Eddie and Lou.
they
Like they
didn't have
had
the
it in
money.
their hand when they were running down the fire escape. And then they fell into the dumpster.
Okay.
But I didn't see any of them leave with it. And I don't remember seeing the suitcase ever again in the movie.
Okay, but they didn't have the money.
Then what was in the suitcase that they
Just
needed
their
so
clothes.
bad? They were really just going to take clothes? Like they were going to like... Because remember, guys, in the 90s, too, our suitcases, they were like those big plastic with the clippy things on the front that had like the little tiny key. I had those still for the longest time. And it had like a little partition that you could pull up. Like it was all fancy. And you're like, you're going to carry this heavy ass thing was my point. For clothes?
Again, there was no.
I thought it was the money. Like,
No.
that's why I was getting confused. I'm like, why are you dying for this suitcase right now? Get rid of it. You could walk so much faster without it.
Because
All right.
they were trying to just have their necessities.
All right. Well,
For-
then I guess I just missed that part. I just was like, is that supposed to be the money?
No,
Then why did they leave it?
whoever got the money, we'll never know.
Yeah, we'll never
All
know.
we know is that they were the ones whoever got in that trunk of that car during that scene where everyone was ripping off that. They are the ones who got the money. Who is it?
Yep. We don't know.
I know.
A
Somebody
day
out
player.
there.
A day
Yes.
player.
Somebody got $60,000 richer that day and was just like, I'm making bank.
Yep. So be like, who the fuck leaves $60,000 in a trunk? Ditching it on the side of, I'm assuming Whacker. I don't know where they ditched it. I don't know. It's just when he threw him over and hit another highway. That's what I was like, maybe it's Whacker.
Whichever's the worst highway in Chicago.
That's just, you roll the dice.
Okay.
They were probably up near Austin or something, you know, it's just like, oh no, because that could be rough.
So as they, yeah. So there was another possibly questionable scene in this that.
Oh yeah.
Again, it tickles my
There's
funny
a
bone
couple
a little bit.
because this isn't going to be the last one. Even
No,
I feel like the other one was worse, but we'll get there.
it makes. I can't help it makes me laugh because it's so ridiculous. It
is ridiculous.
ridiculously silly. And so the guys knock on their door, and Dana thinks on his feet, or Eddie thinks on his feet, and he just does a voice like,
What you want?
and then that's what this thing becomes.
Uh-huh.
This back and forth, and then that's, of course, they
Trying
don't
to
buy
pretend
it.
like he's a Chinese woman, I guess.
I guess.
I don't know. Yeah.
Something to that effect.
Instead of just like not saying anything at all.
Yeah, not saying anything probably would have been the best thing, but
you would have had this moment. So there we go.
Wouldn't have had it. And then yes, they get away, or at least they escape from the apartment, out the window, down the fire chute, what have you. Yeah, they lose the suitcase, which I guess I didn't really even pay attention to, but you're right. They do have a suitcase that
they just never see it again when they split up. So you know,
and they split up. We don't know what happens to Lou. We follow Eddie. Eddie makes his way back to the house.
The house they broke into.
Yeah, the house that they broke into, because it was a safe place and it was a good spot that he could just hide out. He gets on the phone when he gets there, calls his Uncle Max, tells him, hey, if you hear from Lou, tell him I'm in the stereo house. He'll know what it means. He's like, all right, gotcha. And then, of course, the next shot is Lou going into a stereo store.
I'm assuming it's a store. Yeah, like a Circuit City or something, but it's called Stereo House.
Yeah, getting kicked out. And he's just like, I'm browsing. Why? So clearly he doesn't know.
But why is he getting kicked out? Like, did he just go in and just start making trouble? Like, that's what I don't understand. How are you getting kicked out? What did you do?
Yeah, what?
Why weren't you just being like, is there a guy named Eddie here? You know, I don't know. Were you just going to start stealing stereos in front of them? Like, I don't know, man. That seemed dramatic.
Yeah, it really makes you wonder, like, what?
And then, like, we just don't see Lou.
Yeah, for a bit.
Just gone.
At this point, Eddie is awakened by the dulcet tones of Pee Wee Herman.
Oh my God.
Pee Wee's Playhouse.
How I forgot that tune. And I still look back on it and I'm like, why did kids? I don't know. That's a series that'll forever be a question mark in my brain.
Yeah,
it's just so weird. Pee Wee's Playhouse, the singing couch.
Mm-hmm. So he's he gets woken up. He's looking around like, oh yeah, here's where I'm at, and just kind of taking it in, because it's a nice house. I mean,
it is a nice house. Even by today's standards, I'd be like, yeah, like my house still doesn't have everything on a remote control.
He finds this big ass remote that seems to control everything in the house. Mm-hmm. And then that just turns into a little sequence where he's like, what does this button do? What does this button do? And then we get a little montage of just various things that he's pressing the buttons and random shit's happening.
Lights on and off and stereos changing stations and curtains are opening and
get to hear the title track for the soundtrack, I guess.
Now that's where I feel like we're back in the 80s. You know, it's like we're still stuck on that a little, but it was 1990. It's like we were barely out, so it's fine.
But you had to have the song that went for the movie. That you had to.
Yeah, and I did not enjoy it. So
yeah, it was kind of very generic.
I was like, can we move on? Like the scene lasted too long, I think, just because I hated the song. I was like, let's move on. I get it. The lights are on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off. I got it.
And finally, he gets a nice view of the outside, which then transitions to him taking a shower. But then at the same time, we're starting to see a car, and his car's pulling up into the house. And then another person is showing up, and then there's this build-up from one side to the other side. And then they finally meet in the middle of clash, and oh my God! Yeah. This woman comes into the house. She spots Eddie in a towel and freaks the fuck out. And he's like, oh my God, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong house. And she's like,
oh no. You're in the right house. Oh, I'm so sorry, but you scared me to death. David said you were coming tomorrow.
Oh, this is David's house. Oh, what a relief.
Yeah.
He rolls into the con, which I appreciate. It wasn't like he couldn't think on his toes. It was like, oh, yeah. Oh, my God. What a relief. Oh, thank goodness. I wasn't sure. So he just gets roped into this con pretty much. Like he has to play it off because what are you going to do at that point, So, and this is David's mom, by the way, who came by to the house. And this is what I thought was funny. So I guess nobody's ever met his friend, David's friend, Jonathan, who is supposed to be house sitting. And he's just this legend that... God, what a legend. Yeah, David has just spoken so much about, so highly of, and yet no one has ever met him. So this is going to be the moment everyone gets to meet Jonathan Albertson. Yes. He's this big business mogul. He's this wild guy. He's just charming, and he's single. Yeah. So, at this point, we see the other parent, Milt, played by the wonderful Robert Loggia. Come on, Robert Loggia. Come on. Yeah.
I know. I had such a nostalgia bump watching this from the different actors showing up. I'm like, oh my God, I remember these guys. Yep.
He's obsessed that Milt Malkin, I think is his name, or their last name. Yeah, he's, I want to know what it was, like what David told him about Jonathan, because he is obsessed.
He is
with,
like, this is his new son. He's taking ownership of this man.
Yeah,
like,
just based on what he's heard of him. That's it. And he's just so impressed. Oh my God, Jonathan Albertson. Oh my God, it's so nice to meet you. And he's Eddie's trying.
And he's never sent a photo. Like, this is where I'm like, I mean, I know you couldn't just here on my phone, blah blah blah, but never even had a picture with your best friend or anything that you've ever sent your mom. Moms love pictures.
They do.
Or at least back then, for sure. I still get a photo album from my mother-in-law. Printed pictures and everything, people. Yep. You can hold them in your hand. But, I don't know. I know we needed it again for the plot, but I'm still just nobody knows what this man looks like. All right.
I mean,
I guess it's more possible in the 90s, but...
It is. Today, absolutely not. With Facebook, Twitter, all that shit, there's no fucking
We'll just
way.
AI you in now, and it'll be we're everywhere.
That's true. So, they start talking to him. He starts playing along. He's just like, oh, yeah, I lost all my luggage and everything. It's just, it's terrible. All this stuff.
Well, and we make sure that the camera gets to see the con, because he turns around. And he's just got this shit-eating grin on his face. It's just so weird. They lost my luggage, and it's just my wallet and all of my money. And it's just, I can't believe it. I'm just stranded here,
And then, wouldn't you know it, Milt's just such a nice guy. He just hands fucking money out.
$1,000 that he just has in his pocket.
I want to be friends with this man.
Well, he was totally expecting him to pay it back, because he's like, what? You're good for it. What do you need? And just starts handing him cash. He'll pay him back when he gets his credit cards and his wallet and everything back. So convenient that he doesn't have any ID, Yeah. He had to come up with something, because if he's supposed to be rich,
because that does raise a question for me later. I'm going to put a pin in that, and I'm hopefully come back to it, because it's not.
I can make a note, because I have to write things all the time so I don't forget to tell you stuff when you're talking.
Not having his ID. Okay, that's a detail. Because it's not just this movie. So many movies do this. So put a pin in that.
Got it. Pinned.
So yeah, they want him to come have lunch with them at the club, because they're just so excited. They want to get to know him and whatnot, and just hang out with him.
And you have to meet our daughter, of course.
And it feels like they weren't really pushing that just yet, but what mom.
But mom
was
said
up to.
single, so that's when I was just like, oh. And then when they got there, I was like, oh, okay,
And what if he was if he was an ugly man? Would they have just?
I mean, is he cute? Even in my opinion, young Dana Carvey definitely looked young. But I don't know that I mean, everybody's different. But I personally wouldn't think heartthrob. I think they were just ooh, money.
No, but for Dana's sake, I'll say he can be quite charming.
Sure. Okay. All right. No, that's fair.
I think that's where he gets some brownie points.
He would be the one, maybe once I got to know him, I'd be like, oh, damn, I'm starting to get a little crush on him or something like that. I could see that. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Because I feel like that's kind of what goes down here. So
yeah, for sure. Because she was not on board at first, for sure.
Yeah. So they give him money. They give him the car keys to the Porsche outside, and just you got no reason, come have lunch with us at the club. He goes. He's all dressed to the nines. Got his fancy little car.
Good thing he's the same size as David, I guess, because I'm assuming that's whose clothes he took, since all of his clothes were lost on the airplane, or the flight. Yeah.
Takes off to the club, this big fancy country club, just everybody's wearing the white polo shirts and the tennis matches, and
servers are in they're tuxedos with tails, kind of thing. That's a little much, but hey, whatever.
And also when I saw this, scene, I've never thought about it being problematic, but I feel like some people would think it's problematic today, but I don't feel like it's problematic. It's just
maybe I don't know what you're talking about.
The bathroom scene, you know, where he in the country club. Some might point at that and be like racist, but
why though?
Because
I guess in my head I never thought of that at all. I just thought it was like the dude was just the bathroom attendant.
I agree, and
Okay.
that's why
that's where my brain went.
I know how certain people can take a certain thing like that and just be like, look, it's the black man serving the white man. You know, look what he's doing because it's racist.
Okay. Well, if you're that person, then you're looking for reasons to be mad at that point. In my head, I was just like, oh, actor was cast as bathroom attendant. That was as far as it went in my brain. And then I just watched the scene. So
that's how I see it too. But I understand how certain people can view things through a different lens. Sure. Same as we're doing here. I'm letting a lot of stuff go because I don't find it offensive. Yeah. I can acknowledge it can be. Point being, where are we? Okay, so
he's in the bathroom and doesn't actually. Well, I mean, you could tell he has no idea this lifestyle at all. Yeah, because every time they're asking him any kind of questions, like even I would know the answers to, by the way. And I'm not hoity-toity or anything like that, but like they definitely made sure that you understood that he had no clue about this lifestyle. Right. So when this man is like turning on the water for him in the sink, he just kind of looks at him and he moves to the next sink like, all right, like in his head, dude wants that sink. All right. And then when he turns on the second sink, he's like, how many sinks do you need? You know, he's not clicking that he's trying to turn on the water for him. So he just keeps moving to the sink, you know? So that was kind of funny. In my, it was just like he was so freaking clueless as to what this man was doing, and then when he hands him the paper towel, he's like, "Okay, you know." Yeah. And then turns into Eddie. And
then all the there's so many little stuff. Accoutrements and little things like breath mints and cologne and
I think like floss and I mean anything you might need like hygienic wise. Deodorant I think was even in there.
Right there, and you know the guy said he's like, "Does this cost anything?" And the attendant's like, "It's complimentary, whatever you need." So he's loads the fuck up.
He literally just takes like everything, gum, mints.
I want to know
whatever.
I want to know what he picked up. That big handful of shit that he just scooped up out of that little tray. I've always wanted to know what the hell those
Wasn't
were.
it gum?
Wasn't
it just chewing gum? I thought it was chewing
like
gum.
little strips of something, or not strips, but like little sticks, but not like a chewing gum stick.
I thought it was chewing gum, if I'm honest. I thought it was just sticks of like spearmint, trident, or not trident because they're the tiny ones, but like spearmint gum or something. I don't know.
But it looked like they were sitting in a sucrettes type.
Oh, they probably put it in some fancy tin, so it wasn't just like you had to pull the gum out of the packaging or something like that. I don't know. Well, we could go back and look. I just assumed it was chewing gum.
I've always tried to figure out what it is, and I've never been 100% sure.
Okay. Well, we can go back and look at it, but I'm fairly certain. But
anyway,
he takes everything basically.
He clearly doesn't understand bathroom etiquette. Even the guy, the attendant, looks for a tip, and of course he just shakes his hand. That's another one of those cliched things. Like I'm so stupid. I don't understand things, so I'm going to shake your hand when you're looking for money.
Yep. I wonder if that was as prominent then, or if that was like still a funny trope, you know.
See, that was 1990. No, yeah, that would have been after the fact. Okay, so
either way, it's very cliche now, but just to prove that he had no clue what that man was even doing in that room. I have to say though, I had gone to a place that had one of those before, and it's just freaking awkward. Like it was a nightclub that I had gone to that had it in there. And it's just, I don't want you following me around. Like it was just awkward, like handing me the towels and everything. I'm like, I don't want to tip you for something that I can just do. Like, can I just, all right, fine. You know, it's just very awkward. I don't know. Maybe you rich people, you're like so used to everybody just doing stuff for you that it's not. But I just didn't need someone following me around in the bathroom. Leave me alone.
I could understand that.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, we kind of glossed over this before we get to their sitting at the dinner table. But yeah, when he shows up, he is introduced to Annie, played by Julia Campbell. Yeah. So she immediately, when we meet her talking to the mom, you can immediately tell she's guarded with this guy. She's like, I already know what I've heard. I'm just not interested whatsoever because he just sounds like
some wild
asshole.
guy, I guess. Or, asshole, wild guy. Yeah.
She seems like she's...
Well, what was it? He dated some cheerleader or something from like NBA or what was the name? Like, or in her head. So she's already got it to what kind of women he would even date, and she wouldn't even be close to. You know,
because she's a doctor. She just seems like she conservative type. You know, just reserved. Like she doesn't really have a wild streak about her, which is fine. You know,
like her fun would just be like a book and a coffee somewhere next to a lake. Yeah, that's her.
And I do like this sort of transition. I want to talk about this as the movie progresses as we go through it, because we see her right here. She's buttoned up, hair up, you know, just brainy looking woman who's just
because they can't be that cute and smart,
right? However, I will say this. She's kind of rocking a cute vibe here, okay?
Oh, well, totally. But I'm just saying, like, that was another trope that we had. Because, like, I mean, eventually she's got to let her hair down or take off the glasses or some shit, you know? And you're just like, oh, yeah.
And that's what they do. That's what they do. So, yeah, she's
you gotta make sure she looks homely before you reveal she's actually attractive this whole time.
If you can't tell before, I mean, you're not going to tell later. It's really weird.
No, yeah. I mean, we also, you know, putting glasses on Superman was his disguise. So, you know what? Like, I guess suspend your disbelief.
So, I have to say, and I don't know if this movie is responsible for this in some way, but I feel like this movie set some little part of my brain for a relationship is to have... I really like the chase, man.
Oh, yeah.
And the chase with Annie. Oh, man.
Oh, back when you like had to work for it a little bit.
Yeah.
That was cute. It was fun. And then you had fun because you're like, oh, he does like me. He's trying to, I get it, you know. And nowadays we just swipe, I guess. And
I guess.
Like,
but I've always loved the pursuit, you know, and I'm just like, all right. So that was one aspect of this movie that I always loved when I watched it, because I was like, I'm going to find me a girl like Annie, and I'm going to show her how much, you know, because it's got to be that you just look at her and you're like, oh my God, she's really amazingly awesome. And then what do you want to, it doesn't have to be creepy. Just, I want to prove, you know, that I'm worthy of your time.
I'm going to work a little bit for it. I don't expect you to just fall into it. Yeah.
That's right. So it always kind of became my thing. I'm going to work for it. I'm going to prove myself. So
the
I
wooing,
like
you're actually wooing somebody.
That's right.
Trying to court them. Yeah.
Exactly. Anyway, Eddie's kind of feeling out everything at the dinner table. You know, he's trying to fill out Milt. You know, he's trying to see what kind of con he can work on him, because that's what he's doing. He's working the table. He's just like, well, here's this kind of con or thing, or this profitable venture that I'm sort of interested in, or maybe I'm kind of dabbling in this. And of course, Milt's not giving him anything, so he can't hang on to anything. So he's like, shit. So they're having this kind of roundabout way of discussing shit. And then, of course, there was the wine.
They keep throwing instances, so we're absolutely sure that like he doesn't belong here. And also, I think to prove just how amazing this Jonathan person is.
Yeah.
You know, because like he can just do it all, apparently, you know.
He was supposed to be the great sommelier.
Yes. Okay. That actually did make me laugh, though.
Okay.
Because, like, when he was like, oh, the sommelier, and I was like, oh, crap, here we go. You know? And so when he hands him the menu and he just, oh, this one. And when the server leaned forward and goes, that's the winemaker's address or something like that, I just like, and he pointed to something else. That's the bin number. Maybe you should look at something higher up on the page, you know? Just like, oh, God, that was funny.
And then he gets Chateau Lafite,
which is an expensive wine, you know? So, and of course, you know, the same trope of trying to present the wine to him. And he's like, yeah, no, looks good, whatever. Like, no clue that he's supposed to be looking at it and I will call bullshit on the cork. Now, I know this is a very tropey thing to do, but I promise you it doesn't matter There's nothing you're going to get from it other than maybe you could look at it and see if like it got dried out or something. But when they're sniffing it and pushing on it or whatever, that's bullshit. They're doing nothing. They're learning nothing. I just thought I'd throw that out there. I've worked under sommeliers for over a decade. It means nothing. But you should present it to them nonetheless because it's just part of the etiquette. But I'm like, when I see people, like even when I used to work in the restaurant and I'd see people all doing stuff with the cork in my head, I'm like, you just proved to me you have no idea what you're talking about. Okay, keep going. But anyway, yeah.
Fair, yeah.
And presents the wine and gives him the taste. And I also have to call bullshit on the way the server opened that wine. This is a nice place. Why is there still foil on the top?
Ooh.
When I saw that, I was like, who the hell opened this wine? Because if they were actually fancy and saw that foil touching their wine, oh my God. Oh my God. And I was just like, who is doing the shots for this? Like you could tell they just stuck the cork in the top and just pulled it out and left the foil. And oh my God, I don't know why that just bothered me so bad. I was just like, oh my God, this is a nice place, and oh God, you left the foil. So that's where my brain was preoccupied after they were presenting him the taste, and he's just chugging it. You know?
So yeah, he gets his first taste of some high grade fancy wine. So crazy about it. And then let's see, where did we transition off from here? Because
was it her in the office, doctor's office, or
no? He went to talk to his aunt and uncle because he wanted to try and fill out the situation. He's like, he's not going for this, he's not going for that. I don't know what to do. Trying to figure out what the con's going to be, and then that's when his aunt Connie says, "Hey, go for the daughter. It's time for the love con."
So much. Yeah, the love con. Yeah,
the love con. Now, I could not do this because it would just
couldn't be a con man at all.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, but the love con. Conning people, like, you got a bad person, they're jerk asses, and if you can con them out of a couple of $1,000s, I don't feel like I would be that bad about it. But if I'm manipulating somebody's heart,
yeah,
I can't.
No.
I can't.
Yeah, that's rough. You shouldn't do that now. You shouldn't do any of it. But yeah, that's rough.
So he decides.
But maybe at first he's thinking she's just some rich asshole too. I don't know.
Because he does. He calls her cold. He calls her like she's just, iced up. She doesn't want anything to do with me.
Yeah, as you did when women weren't interested. You just had to keep calling them names because clearly there's something wrong with them if they didn't like me,
Yeah.
Love that.
He wasn't being too mean. I think
but no, I mean,
Lou
it's just
probably said worse things than he did. I remember he called her a broad. It's like,
that's
you
true.
and that broad.
You and that broad look good together, or whatever it was that he said, I'm like, yeah, all right. I don't know. I overlooked that one because I just feel like it's such a stupid name that I'm like, if anyone really takes offense to broad these days, it's like, dame, doll.
Chickadee. So yeah, Eddie decides he's going to try this love con thing. So yeah, he does. He goes to visit her down at her office or her at the hospital.
Clinic, I
works.
guess.
Clinic.
Yeah.
It seemed like he was in a hospital room, like in an ER or something like that.
It might be. I think like some clinics might have like partitioned off rooms. And if they're not in a nice area of Chicago, because she seems like she would be the type of person who would be volunteering in an area that would need her as opposed to like for profit. So I could see her being in like a smaller clinic like that where you kind of have to shove people in the same room to get them through or whatever.
I got you.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Or it was just so we could have this lovely conversation with the gentleman who was there. I don't know.
True. Yeah. And he does kind of come into play. So we kind of cut to her clinic or whatever. And then Eddie's hiding up under a sheet, under a bed. And, he's like, and she's like, what are you doing here? And he's like, I'm here to help. Because the guy, the other guy.
Yeah. You guys got to know her back is to the gentleman. There was already a gentleman in there getting dialysis, I guess.
Perhaps,
Yeah. And so behind her, he's like, he could tell dude's trying to hit on the doctor. So he's like trying to help her out. He's like, help. He's like mouthing, like say this, Yeah, it was cute. I thought it was cute.
Old Harold. That's
Harold.
He's there for going too fast with the ladies, as he said.
You're not at the home. I'm still running for him. It's like, I bet you are.
So Annie decides, okay, if you want to help Eddie, you're going to get blood. And then Eddie's like, nope. But
don't have any extra of that today. Sorry. Yeah.
But she gets him before he gets to run off, and he passes out, and then that's that.
Yeah.
So he's back to square one, trying to figure out, all right, well, that was a bust, so what do I do next? So now it's like, well, I'll take out the parents and, use them. We'll go sailing or whatever. What about it? And then the mother's like, nah, we got a bar mitzvah on Saturday, but why don't you come? And he's like,
that's for family.
Family. And she's like, come on. And he's like, fine, I'll be there. Now, I always had a problem trying to figure this out because I am not Jewish. I feel like I have it in my blood, but I am not Jewish that I know of.
Were you wondering if this was bad too?
No. How did he come to this? How did he figure out he was Jewish?
Because she said bar mitzvah.
But how does he know?
That's a very Jewish thing.
I know
I think that's all.
I know.
Okay.
I'm aware of that. But how did he know Jonathan was Jewish? Because he stopped. And he went,
isn't it family? Maybe, I don't know. I guess I just assumed since it was a family thing that they were all Jewish. Maybe
that's what I don't understand. Because he hung up the phone. He went
Temple. Albertson. Holy Christ, I'm Jewish.
And I was like, how did you connect those dots?
Is Albertson a Jewish, very Jewish name? I wonder.
That's what I'm going to have to assume, because I know that there are certain names that you can immediately say, oh, you're Jewish. But I didn't know.
Now I'm looking it up. I'm like, is it a very common? Albertson is a common surname, but uncommon as a given name. So it looks like between 1840 and 1920, the Albertson family name was founded in UK. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know. So yeah, Ashkenazi Jewish ancestry. I probably said that very wrong, and I'm sorry.
But that's like common everyday people. I wouldn't have known that.
I wouldn't have either. But in the 90s, they probably were a little smarter because we had to read more and seek out information. Probably talk to more people, so we got to know other walks of life a little more.
Okay, fair.
Yeah. Okay. But I wouldn't have known.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out how he connected those dots. That's all. I've always wondered that. And then, of course, now he's trying to figure out, now, do I find this offensive? No, because for
if he's Jewish, he would have it, I guess, yeah.
If you're not, what would be your end? Like, how are you trying to figure that out? Of course, you go to some shit like Fiddler on the Roof, because that's the most Jewish movie I know of. So, yeah, you'd go there, like, okay. And then get funny. Whatever you can find. Find your yarmulke that's going to be perfect for you.
I love that David had the other hat, though, with the hair on it.
Yeah.
Like he just had that laying around. I don't know. I'm sure there's a name for that hat, too, and I apologize. Yeah, but I don't know it. But it's the big hat where it has like the black curls on the side. I don't know. I saw it a lot in like Mel Brooks films or something like that.
Sure, yeah. It's like the rabbi hat with the...
Yeah, or it looks like they have long black curls on the side of their face.
Yeah.
I don't know the history of that either, so I'm going to shut up in case it's offensive that I'm saying that, but I don't know. But
sure.
He had that laying around.
Right.
That's my point. This was just hanging out at the house.
So yeah, he was trying to, I guess, find what he needed to do or learn how to be Jewish, which I don't really feel like needed to do all that, but fair, fun little whatever. And then we cut to the bar mitzvah. Everybody's having fun, dancing to some what kind of music would you call that? It's almost like there's a term I'm thinking of, and I can't for the life of me.
I don't know. I probably have to listen to it again.
That you'd hear on an elevator.
Like Muzak.
Muzak. There you go. Because it's famous music, but it's not performed by the famous people. It's some
knockoff version of it. Yeah.
Like sitting off in the background. Mm-hmm. But anyway.
Like you hear at the grocery store or something. Yeah.
Everybody's having fun. Eddie's, he's trying to play it off, try to figure out what he's doing. And he spots Annie with her boobie. See, I want a boobie too. That's another Jewish thing I want. I want a boobie.
Boobies so they could just pinch your cheek and leave red lipstick on it. Yeah.
And then
she just eats your face.
And then he does the very charming.
I would like to dance with the most ravishing woman in the world.
I'm sorry.
Bubby, what do you say?
And she's like,
oh, no, that was smooth. That was good. I'ma say. Like, even if I was Annie, I'd probably be like, oh shit. All right. You know, because she's so convinced it's her. And I probably would have done the same thing because he has been trying to court her.
Yeah.
But that was smooth. That was good.
And then he just takes off with the bubby and they do a little dancing, do a little talking. And of course, Milt's over there just, again, obsessing.
In love with him.
Obsessing. I'd give everything for just one Jonathan Albertson. It's like, for what? What has he done?
Mona's
so
like,
amazing?
what am I, chop liver? Like, I'm right here. I'm your wife. What do you want? We made a good son. He's out. I don't, you know.
And then there's that smile. And it's just like half-ass, fucking look on his
I
face.
know. Like, what was that?
Didn't even try.
No.
Come on, Robert Loggia. Anyway,
Wow. Yeah.
but then the bubby brings Eddie back, and he's like, you're being too serious. You two go have fun, kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, Annie's just like, don't touch me.
Yeah, she's still being not interested. She's not interested.
You just
Even though she was smiling, he was starting to get under her skin a little bit there. That's where it was started.
Because, this is where it really, really starts to sink in, because she's like, okay, I see your game now. You don't go for me, go for the bubby. I see how it is. And it's like, okay, but I'm just trying to have fun. Can we have fun, please? Can we have fun? I'm going to go dance out here. She doesn't want any part of it. So now he's going to, again,
And this is where we let Dana Carvey be Dana Carvey.
Yeah, he's just dancing, doing silly, stupid shit to the cheap Muzak version of that, what was it? It was a Gloria Estefan song, wasn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, come on, baby, say you love me, 5, 6, 7.
Oh, I think I've tuned it out. I don't even remember what the song was. My brain just went, nope, I guess.
It's like, I don't want to remember that.
I don't want this in my head. But yes, he does lots of very fun and cutesy dances, and then it like mimics other people's dancing, so she would laugh or whatever, you know. And then she did, and he's like, nah,
trying her damnedest to just suck it up. Like, nope, I'm not laughing.
No.
And then another one would come out, and she's like, nope, can't let him see it. But he saw it, and he's like, aha, I got you. And then it's at this point that she's starting to be like, David never mentioned this. So again, makes you wonder, what did he say?
Must have just called him like this womanizing, rich, wild man, because all the stuff you keep hearing along the way, it's like, man, this kid's led a very crazy out there life and full. Because, I mean, David can't be that old.
No.
And they met in college, I guess. So it's just like, damn. I guess rich people get to live different lives. I don't know.
Yeah, most definitely. 100%. So he finally gets to her. Now, he's not like wooed her completely, but he's gotten in. Like he's got his
interest is now peaked.
Yeah, she's like, okay.
All right, let's see. Let's see what you got.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think where we are in the story here, because this is where for some reason I'm getting lost where we move.
Well, I feel like we had the montage of him wooing her. You know, like he'd show up with like flowers randomly, or, you know, they'd go for walks. Oh, no.
But no, it was right at this point is where we go back to the house, and this is where Milt wants him to come work for him. That's what it was, because it was right after bar mitzvah. He didn't
This is when we finally see Lou again, though, too. Because I honestly even asked, I was like, it's just screw Lou now? Yeah. Like he walked away from House of Stereo and we just never saw him again. And Eddie did not seem to care or bring it up once.
So at this point, Lou has finally found Eddie. He knows what the stereo house was. Clearly, it wasn't like a simple thing, because like you could have said it was this house or that house.
You could have said pinball house or pool table house. I would have known, or even dreamsicle house. I would have known what that was. You know?
But no. When Eddie and Milt return to the house, Lou is there. He now has to pass Lou off as his broker, which I guess that was a smart move, but he clearly has no fucking clue what a broker is.
Well, it's your specialty. Well, what do you need? You know?
Yeah.
It brings out some watches on his arm. He's like, oh, look at you. Got London, New York time, you know, whatever it was. And he was like,
this guy's the market.
So good.
So Milt is just hell-bent on Jonathan Albertson being
His VP.
His VP. He's like, damn it, I need you. You got to come work for me. If you will, just make me the happiest. And Eddie and Lou need to talk. So it's just like, fine. Okay. Yeah, I'll do it. Fine. I'll be there.
Yeah.
Whatever. Go.
I'll help you sell hand blowers.
Yeah. So I think it was around this time that he was showing him around the office because he took him to his...
Oh, yeah, because this is the one that I thought would have been the problematic scene out of all of them, honestly.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so yeah, he's taking him to his office, and then before they get there, we bump into this is kind of a problematic scene because
this one was, but
there's apparently a businessman from Japan who needs to go to the bathroom.
I guess speaks no English,
which you'd think there would have been a translator of some kind there.
Something with them, yeah, but no, I guess, or his translator left or something. I don't know, but dude's by himself, speaking no English, needs a bathroom.
Yeah, and then so they're just like, "Oh, Jonathan, you know Japanese," because again, this guy's a wonderkind of some kind.
I was just gonna say, every time we turn around, like, what doesn't this guy do?
So now he has to fake his way speaking Japanese to the point that it becomes insulting. At least they did that. It wasn't just like he stumbled into some words. The guy was seriously offended and flipped him off.
Well, yeah, because all he did was make noises in a Japanese accent, like complete gibberish. But unfortunately, I guess, us other Americans would be like, well, I don't know if he just said words or not, and we can't hear what the Japanese man is saying or understand what he's saying. So sure, this all tracks. Yeah. And it went on for a while.
I mean, all he had to do was, I don't want to do it.
No. Yeah. Just Japanese, though. You could have helped the man find a restroom.
I could have been like, Mesoge ite kurasai. I don't know where the bathroom was. I just told him to go straight. So.
Oh, okay. Straight, make a left, and hopefully you run into it. I don't know. But yes. So he pretended to speak Japanese to the Japanese man.
Pissed him off, and then they're just like, ha, that's funny. Let's go into my office. Milt shows him his office, and then this is where we start to see a little connection because Eddie kind of comes out of Jonathan just a little bit because he sees that he's a big Cubs fan, Ernie Banks. Cubs will shine in 69,
Yeah. No, you still got about 30 years before they'll do anything great. 25. I don't know.
Yeah. And then Milt says, I got to show you something. He whips out this secret little safe, pulls out all this money, and then produces this little case with a ball sign, and it's Ernie Banks' 499th home run ball. And it's his most prized possession. Has his signature, has a date on it and everything, and it's everything to him. That's a little footnote for later, because we're going to come back to that. And then we put it back, and then we find out all the money. We've got like, what, $170,000?
I think it was $180.
$180,000. Just laying off in the safe, all because some of those old businessmen, they're old school. This is the only thing they trust. However that
cold hard cash. Yep.
Hard
like
cash.
We don't trust them banks. It's called we don't want to pay the man taxes. Like they still don't anyway. But anyway, yes. That's why he has cash in his office that much.
So we kind of get an understanding of that. Then I still feel like I'm missing another detail in here somewhere, but I know that it's around this time that he also has to do the board meeting because he has to now prove himself to be the businessman that he's supposed to be.
He showed up for work.
He did show up for work.
As VP.
He's got to be the VP of the company, and they're sitting in a boardroom trying to understand the sales figures, a whole bunch of sales mumbo jumbo that I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And then they turn and like, Jonathan, what do you got? And he's just like, I don't know. I don't really know what to say. And then he takes him to the bathroom because he's like, hey, I got an idea. And then bullshits his way into selling this idea of what
he has
they
them all
need.
sit in a stall.
Yeah, all sit in a stall.
I thought it would have been hilarious if he just ran. Once they got sat down, just been like, and take off,
But he just pretty much
Yeah, very
Twist-
inspirational.
Yeah, twist
speech.
the words and just be like, we're all the most important decisions are made in the bathroom, and that's what we're trying to sell. The bathroom.
When you're most susceptible to open ideas. Like, oh, okay, I don't know. I'm more vulnerable right then, and I'd rather you leave me alone so I can finish up what I need to do and we talk later. But okay.
Yeah.
I'm not a man. Maybe all of the best decisions for men have been made on the John, and I just don't know.
So whatever he did, he bullshitted his way. He won them over. Now he's a superstar VP because we never hear of another problem after that.
Yeah.
Once he solves that, as he's VP number 1, he's got a job now.
They are impressed. Look at him thinking outside of the box. He's got to be so smart. None of us would have ever come up with this kind of idea. Nope. But he wants to advertise on the back of the bathroom stalls.
Yeah, because that's smart.
Like, what do you see on the back of the stall? Milt is full of hot air.
Yeah. So now that he has won over Milt, we know he's already won over Mona because she was sucked in immediately. Now he's got to win over Annie. So he and Annie are at this club called The Quarry. Is that a real place?
Yep.
Okay. So they're at this place called The Quarry, and it seems like it's talent night, because you got some lady trying to sing some Al Green, and I guess she's doing all right. And they're on a not a date, as Annie kind of put it. Because
We're just hanging out, I guess.
Yeah, we're just hanging out, doing whatever. And as we're in this club, and we see that they're just listening to some music, hanging out, having some drinks, we also see that, hey, look at that, Pinky's alive and well.
And a comically put together, the body cast.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought was hilarious. My husband's like, I bet you later on we're going to find out that he's alive and it's going to be in one of those like comical body casts. So when he turned around with it, I was like, oh, good call, babe. Good call.
Yep. Yeah. Got the neck brace, got the arm up, got the leg propped, and just, he's in a bad way.
How he made it in there, I don't know.
Why he's there, I don't know.
That's well, for what was going to happen next. But like how he walked in is just like, I'm like, I don't understand. And he's just slamming Shirley Temples, getting pissy when he needs the refill. That's what I thought was hilarious. Like, give me another one. It's like, it's cherry juice and Sprite, man. Calm down.
So the lady gets off the stage, the host of the Quarry, he's just like, hey, we got a superstar in the house. We're gonna bring him up right now, the wild man. And then they introduce, and then we find out that Annie has set this whole thing up for Jonathan to go up on the stage and be the wild man of whatever the fuck he was back in his glory days.
And so I had questions here though too.
Okay.
Because everyone's, I got the perfect song for you, wild man. Like everyone's heard these tales. So everyone's heard, nobody's met Jonathan. Nobody. So like when they're talking to him, like, I've got the perfect song for you. Like, does his reputation really precede him that much? Or has he performed there before? Like, why did everyone seem to know?
I guess maybe they were just excited about the prospect of somebody being this awesome. Because he was talking him up pretty big. It was like, all right, this is going to be pretty cool.
Yeah. I can't go up there. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, I can't do it. And so he eventually relents and does, because what other choice does he have?
Right.
And then, they choose the most wild man song, Born to Be Wild, because that was just the song at the time everybody had to use. He starts off singing poorly. Very
just normal.
Get your motor running. And then when Pinky is seen, Pinky hears him. Pinky turns around, screams out his name loudly, and then he spots him and he's like, oh shit. And suddenly he's just a performer. By God, he just got it all
came out of
in
his
him.
shell.
So I guess anxiety and fear kind of makes you perform.
It can do that to you.
And it works. It works for Eddie. So now he's suddenly just rocking out. He's doing everything he can to kind of keep himself hidden and make it louder so people can't hear him screaming.
Yeah. And this whole scene was just great. I'm sorry. The way that they played up this whole thing was just phenomenal. It was like if you were at an Elvis concert or something. Everyone is crowding the stage that he's on. Women are just reaching out to touch him. I'm just like, this is karaoke, right?
Yeah.
Like, what's that? But I mean, they played, oh my God, this sexy man who's putting on this performance. And they're just like panties dropping people. Or, I'm just like, oh my God, this is hilarious. I have to admit that scene was done really well. It was so ridiculous.
Yeah. So during his performance, he does kick Pinky square in the face and knocks him clear the fuck out, which I didn't realize, but yeah, that was the last time we see Pinky.
It was just for that moment, I guess, is what we brought him back for. Well, he got paid.
Finish him up, and they take the opportunity to get the hell up out of the club, and it's just like, and then that's when the romance starts, and then
she's in love now.
We get that Tina Turner montage song. Yep. Not enough romance in this world.
So that was the little love montage.
Yeah. And then we see all the little love things. It's just like,
flowers and dates and little kisses. And yeah.
So now everything's kind of got to build. So now that we've done that, now we see that they're in love and then everything's good. Then we kind of go back to Milt and everything in his business. And, everything's going good there. But now he's got that one client. It's just, it's out of reach. And
gotta get that client, yeah.
Got to figure out how to do that. And luckily, Eddie just happened to be nearby while the guy, his buddy, is on the phone setting up a special meeting, They're going to a baseball game, Cubs game at Wrigley Field. So what do? Eddie decides he's going to set up a little something, and then they also go to the game, and then they spot the guys that they were trying to
I'm guessing Milt didn't know they were there.
Right. Because he's like, there he is. He said he had a meeting today. Like, that son of a bitch lied to me. And Eddie's like, but he does. He just doesn't know it yet. So then we cut to the bathrooms at Wrigley Field, and everybody's taking a pee. And then the two guys, the business guys, come in. They're looking for a stall, but they can't get anywhere because it's so crowded.
Yeah, they're looking for a urinal, and it was, so they concede and go to a stall because they had to pee so bad.
Yeah, so they were forced into these stalls, separated by one another, because there's a well-dressed Lou, who you can't really tell immediately, and then you kind of do a double take. It's like, oh shit, that's Lou, dressed up like a Secret Service agent, and then
protecting one of the stalls. Yeah.
Wouldn't you know it? This gives Dana Carvey his chance to shine and do his George W. Bush, and then they put on this,
and he
farce.
does it for a long time.
Yeah, he puts
everything's
on
a long bit sometimes when they.
So he puts on this farce of. He's George George Bush, not George W.
Yeah.
George H.
He hasn't come around
Bush.
yet. Yeah. Talking about how he just loves hand blowers, man.
Wants them all up in the White House, up in the Kennebunk Port, and all these places, just talking it up. And essentially, this comes down to the guy that we were following, the businessman, says, I feel like people just, they love paper towels, and they don't like blowers. So they use this as an opportunity to manipulate the situation, and then everybody's like, oh my God, look at the blower. This is amazing. The president used this.
I'm using the blower the president used. Oh my God. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. They paid all these people. This is all one big con, and it pays off.
That was hilarious.
So this con pays off. Milt's just like, oh my God. I'm sure he nutted himself. And
probably.
Just like,
so much money.
I can't believe what you just did for me. Jonathan Alberts.
I knew I loved you, man.
Here is my most prized possession in the world, this fucking baseball. Everybody's in a panic. He's sitting there saying, I want to keep it in the family, huh? And everybody's like, ha, dude.
Yeah.
So now.
You're just trying to get your woman. Will you please take my daughter?
Yeah. That's essentially what that was.
Yeah.
So now Eddie's in a conundrum because it's like, fuck. Now I'm in it. What do I do?
He caught feelings. That was the problem. He actually started to like it.
All of them, honestly.
Yeah. He loved the whole family.
And they loved him. And he's talking about, why don't I stay? Why don't I just do all this? And Lou is like, no.
But you can't.
David's coming home. No.
Yeah. I still think okay, go ahead. I'll wait till I get there.
David's coming home. They got to have a plan in motion. They got to figure out what's happening. So Eddie's just like, all right, fuck it. I got to go tell Annie the truth. And this was the worst fucking conversation in history. He didn't even attempt to tell her anything.
No.
He just floated through and let her put words in his mouth. And he didn't correct her, not once. And he could have, but he didn't.
Well, they pretended like he tried to interrupt. It's like, oh, no, that's not what you mean. Oh, it's okay. Yes. Oh, look at you being so whatever. I don't know, shy and,
It was a very contrived conversation because when she's just like, he's like, no, you don't understand. I am a phony. It's like, okay, why were those your choice words? Why didn't you say, my name is not Jonathan Albertson?
Oh, so we could have the confusion.
So the confusion essentially leads to she thinks he's proposing, and then next thing you know, he's walking out going, I guess I'm getting married. And it was like, no, that's
not the lesson we were supposed to learn here.
Yeah, we kind of got lost a little bit there, dude. But he returns back home only to find that Sal Nichols has shown up at the house. He has found
we
him.
haven't seen Sal in a while either. And now all of a sudden here he's popped up. Mm-hmm.
He has found him because apparently Lou did something really stupid, which was a detail that I didn't apparently catch until this recent...
I guess I missed it too. What did he do?
Apparently he was doing something within the neighborhood and then he caught wind of it.
My partner here was fencing some very lovely merchandise in the neighborhood, so I thought we'd all drop by to say hi.
Rinky-dinky shit, and then that's how he caught wind of him. I don't remember what it was, but it was a very specific detail on how he found him, and I was like, oh, fuck.
Okay.
I thought he was just being followed. But anyway, Eddie takes this opportunity. He's like, all right, so don't kill us. I can get you $180,000 by tomorrow, I swear it. And he's like, how can I believe you? You're a bunch of street punks. And he's like, look around. I said, I'm in the middle of something. And he's like, it costs you nothing to wait, but $180,000 if you kill me right now. What was it going to be? So he's like, all right, fair. I'll take him as collateral. You bring me the money and everything's fine by tomorrow. Got it.
By 4 p.m.
By 4 p.m. So Eddie's got to put together and get the money. He steals the money from Milt's safe.
Which I don't think we actually said the reason why he was able to steal it when he gifted him the baseball. Come to find out, on the baseball had like the codes to his safe and like some other things.
Annie pointed that out. She said the date of the ball, when all that happened, is like, you don't seem to understand what that date means. That's the most important date from my dad. It's everything to him. So it's his card, numbers and passcodes and all this stuff. So
like
she
he
kind of
trusts you.
Yeah, like she put that out there as like, this is very, very important. Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And then that's how he got that information, yada, yada, yada.
Oh, okay.
Yada.
Maybe I misunderstood that then. But either way, because of the baseball.
So he gets him the money. Sal's impressed. He's like, all right, cool. So fine, get out of here. You got your shit. You're good. And that should have been the end of it.
That should have been the end of it. Yeah.
Eddie's just like, we're going to get this son of a bitch once and for all. So how would you like to make more? 4 times what that is. And he's like, how the fuck can I trust you? And he's like, I just gave you 180,000 reasons. So let's go. So as they're leaving, they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. So they've got this grand master plan on how they're going to try to fuck over Sal Nichols. It all comes down to this very elaborate scheme of going to the building commissioner, trying to set up this job. He gets his aunt and uncle involved.
Yes.
Trying to set up this big city contract to demolish this building. It needs some money up front that will then in turn be like a multi-million
like in bonds
job.
or something. He's like, he needs $175,000 in bonds or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be this hush hush under the table kind of shit because it's, not quite
Max
on the
is
books.
pretending to be the commissioner.
Right. That's pretty much the setup for how they're going to get rid of him. And then this is where the complications start to really get into play here because they have to set all this up and they're waiting. And the whole plan is they're going to get this money and then just going to bail. So Eddie's just going to say the hell with it. He's out of the con. He doesn't know what else to do. I mean, you're pretty much, back against the wall. This is what you got to do. However, as they're getting ready to plot and plan for their final push with Sal, Annie shows up with Milt and Mona at the house. And then he's kind of trapped because now he has to introduce them to his parents.
Yeah, Max and Connie are at the house because they all went back to the house after they had their conversation with Sal, which did we mention it was to demo a building?
Yeah, we said it's a demolition job, but we didn't say what the building was.
Oh, okay.
It just needed to be cleared out.
Demo a building.
Yeah, it needed to be cleared out for this big construction job that's going to happen. very, very soon. They need it done lickety-split. Time is of the essence, as they say.
And this is where I just fall in love with Connie. She's just so great.
She's such a...
That actress was just so great.
So Eddie has to introduce Connie and Max as his mother and father, Thornton and Cornelia, because I don't know.
What else? How else are you going to explain these other two people in the house? Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And then so everybody kind of gets to know each other. They're kind of stuck at this house, even though they got to get going. They're just like, what do we do? How are we going to get out of this? And then it escalates because they had planned a surprise for Jonathan without him knowing that, David is back in town. David calls from the airport and he has to talk to David and try to figure out how you're going to con your way out of this, because immediately David is like, who is this?
Yeah. But Eddie's just going to keep talking like he's having a conversation with David. It doesn't make sense to David, who's on the other line, but everyone else in the room's like, oh, look at him getting it figured out, And
I mean, you got to imagine what that guy was going, like the thoughts going through his, like, what the fuck is going on in my house right now?
I would be like, is my mom and dad okay? Have they been taken hostage? Who is this guy in my house that my dad was so ecstatic to have talked to him?
Yeah.
Like, do you, what?
Just so
I'd have been
confused.
very confused.
So what Eddie does is he takes this opportunity to bullshit the situation and be like, oh my God, they the car didn't come to pick Jonathan up at the airport. Hey, we're gonna bail out for about 45 minutes. We're gonna go pick him up. We'll be right there, dude. All right, cool, great. So they use that as their opportunity. They all take off. Connie has to slip off of the back, which, by the way, let's talk about Connie for a second.
It's just, yes. Oh, I was laughing so hard at her.
The swiping.
She just can't not be a thief. That's what I thought was great. She's sitting there chatting with Mona, lady to lady, having a good time. Oh, I love your hair. Oh, it's like, but no, it's coiffed or whatever. Oh, it's so light. Could I feel it? And she feels her hair and takes her earring off. Yeah. Oh, but you got to let me, can I feel the other side? So it's a good thing she was wearing clip-ons, I guess.
Yeah, really.
I feel, you would feel that, but I get it was still just funny that she's just like, look at how good, can I feel your hair? And then, when they're like, where's Connie? And then you just see an open back door. It's like,
she bailed out.
This woman, oh, she was so great. And you have to picture her though too. She's just such a sweet woman, just compliments and just like grandma. I'm talking to grandma.
Oh, by the way, I even glossed over one of my favorite lines out of this movie is while they're in the house, I think it was like right after they had set up everything and they cut to the house. And Max is sitting there with his whiskey, and he's just trying to get his drink. They're like,
Hey, boyo. You gotta knock that off. You still have to pay that city official tonight.
That's why I need another one. I haven't done this in 20 years.
Uncle Max, Sal Nichols may have a problem with handing over $250,000 to a damn leprechaun.
Listen, don't worry about me. I'll be sober in a couple of hours. You'll still be stupid.
Yep.
He
wasn't sober in a couple of hours.
He was very hammered.
Yeah, he got even more drunk as it went on. But yes.
So they meet Sal up on top of this building, talking about what needs to come down. The whole trade-off, everything goes without a hitch. Everybody's happy. Woohoo! We're gonna get this done. They signed,
handed the money over, pointed to the building they need a demo before the weekend is up.
Before the weekend is up. Yeah.
Has to be.
And everything's good. Everybody's, great and happy endings all around. Everybody should be ready to go. And, Eddie's just looking a little distraught because they're just like, what's wrong, man? He's like, you got everything you could ever want. You're going to go to Miami. You got money. Mm-hmm. Yay. What else do you need?
We're getting out of here, man. Yeah.
And he just can't stop thinking about Annie, man.
Loves her,
so he has to go back. He has to go back and he has to make everything right. So he gives Milt his money back. And confesses to everybody.
And the ball.
Well, he does that separately. That's the one that you got to remember.
You're right.
That.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
So he confesses. Everybody looks like they're hurt by it. You can tell that, but at the same time, it does seem like it's not like an angry like fuck you immediately. It's like it seems like they're just devastated. It's like we loved you, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I appreciated
Milt
they didn't
for
make
sure loved you, man. That was a
Oh,
knife to his
100%.
heart.
Yeah. And that's why he gave him the pass for him to go and say something to Annie, for then Annie to turn around and smack the shit out of him.
Which, rightfully so. Let's be
Rightfully
honest.
so.
Yeah.
Because, look, I feel like this is another one of those situations he could have talked his way out of. I understand he was doing a con, okay? But if you fell in love with her, was it really a con anymore? Were you really using her to get to the money? I mean, you had the job.
Well, initially you were.
Initially, but
and none of it would have happened had you not conned him, too.
But still.
Well, I mean, I know we're trying to make excuses for the guy who was like taking advantage of the woman because it's hilarious, but like he was still in the wrong.
Okay, fair. Sorry. I'm not trying to make excuses for it.
Like, I know for like the romantic comedy of it all, we're just like, oh, but can't you just forgive him so we can be, you know, but it's just like, no, he was still an asshole.
I mean, okay. Fair.
Yes. But for the movie, just can we, yeah.
I mean, I guess I'm just saying in the sense of, like, if you had feelings and those were 100% genuine, I know that I didn't tell you who I was. I expect you to be upset, but understand that my feelings were true. There was just a lot I need to explain.
Yeah, like, it's just, I mean, I feel like you still knew Eddie. He just had a different name.
I mean, he's still the guy.
Yeah.
He didn't put on any other front other than like some light lying about.
Still, like when the whole thing's a lie, I would just be like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'm not trying to condone his actions. I know it sounds like I am, but anyway, all right. So she smacks him. He walks away. He leaves the house. David shows up. He's like, hey, David, got a great family. Sorry. Here's your keys. Whatever.
David's like, who the hell is this guy who just walked out of my house?
He's like, okay, so now I'm even more confused, I'm sure. I want to see David's side of this.
More funny is like if David didn't actually know who Jonathan was either.
Oh my God.
That's what I was hoping would be so funny. You know, it's just be like, oh, he doesn't know. He'd come home and he's just been telling his parents he has this great friend or whatever, and then walks in and been like, oh yeah, Jonathan, hey. And then Eddie be like, what the what? You know, am I Jonathan? Is that what's going on here? But that would have been my ideal ending, I think. And then get the girl or whatever, you know, but like, you know. Anyway.
But yeah, pretty much the rest of the movie is him being sad, boo-hoo, because, you know, and everybody kind of reminisces, like, Milt goes back to
falling in love in a love con. Ugh.
Milt, he goes to his safe, he's putting the money back, and then he finds the ball back in his safe, and you're just like, oh, look at that. He cares, and you see he's hurt by that.
The entire family just has their "I was in love with him" moment when and then Mona finds a picture of him at the bar mitzvah. Yeah. And it's just like everyone's like, I want him back, you know.
And then Annie, we kind of go and have a reprise of the one scene where she walks in on him in the bed, but he's not there, and she's kind of thinking about it. And I love this look on her face because you can just kind of see it, like, gloss across her eyes, like she's got that memory. And then it's just like in a split second, like she turns that shit off, like, no.
Yep.
And then cold-hearted, nope.
I know this is wrong. You were wrong. I'm not going to fall for that again. Yep.
Yeah, I love that from her because
it was a good moment. Yeah.
I'm not doing that. So Eddie shows up behind her and, tries to
I'm in love
smooth
with you.
things over.
You know, like that he found the girl. It is another cliche, but now cliche, I guess, where it's just like, I fell in love with you and I know I lied about everything, but I didn't lie about loving you and blah, 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 whatever it was, you know. Turn around and tell me you don't love me and I'll leave, you know.
I don't love you. And then he just walked away. And then you can see she's crushed because she does. And she just hurt him and she doesn't know what she wants. And then Harold, bless him. Has to just chime in. I
bet you're glad to be rid of that guy.
That's right.
He really was a nuisance. Coming around, bringing you flowers, making us laugh, dragging you out on dates. Yeah, he won't be cutting into no more of your busy schedule.
Damn you, Harold.
right. Yeah, I thought that was great. Yeah. She's like, damn it, Harold. You know.
Runs out.
Mm-hmm.
How dare you, Eddie? And
Mm-hmm.
he's like, I love you. What can I do? I love you. And then he gets blocked by a car, and you're like, no.
Yeah, he gets run
But it's
over.
all-
Yeah.
And you feel like after all these cons, here's yet another he just pulled on her.
Well, I mean, we had to know it was coming because why did he stop in the middle of the street to have this conversation? Like, cars are going either way. If it was real Chicago, they'd be like, get out of the road. They would have been hitting him or something. You know, well, he did get hit.
He did.
And yeah, but the audacity. Yeah, the audacity after you're trying to get her back in your good graces. Because yes, it was Lou and Max who hit Eddie with the car.
And you just manipulated the shit out of her.
Again. Now, if I'm Annie, I would slap him again and be like, look, like, I don't, can you not con? Is that the thing? Am I just, you know, but no. Amnesia. She gives him a kiss. We're all good and all's good in the world, you know?
Oh, by the way, now, yeah, that was technically the end of the movie. We forgot to even mention the one little detail. The building that got blown up was the IRS building, by the way.
Oh, yes. And so they got him arrested. Yep.
Yeah, that's how they got rid of the Sal Nichols problem.
Okay, but I have my note here now about the ID because you said you wanted to say something about that. So I made the note so you'd remember because you said you'd have to say it later.
How the fuck did he get the job? There's paperwork involved.
You know what? I said the same thing. I was like, is he even going to get paid or is it going to be really Jonathan? Jonathan just all of a sudden starts getting this cash. Like what? Yeah. I thought that too. Interesting.
You can fake it all day long, but eventually there's paperwork involved and you got a legit job.
Mm-hmm. With the social security number you're going to have to hand over and everything. Yeah.
So unless some shit was different back in the 90s that we don't remember because we didn't have jobs.
Oh, it was probably a backroom deal. Oh, I trust you. You know, man's word is his honor and whatever. And
sure,
I'll pay you cash because that's how these people roll, right? I don't know.
I guess
I'm making excuses for the plot holes too. But yeah, I thought that too. Like, interesting. But yeah, he got the girl.
Yeah, the movie ends. He gets the girl. Love and a love con. Hate to see it. Amateur night.
Yeah.
Like I said, I wanted to talk about this movie. It does seem like a nothing movie. There's nothing big about it. It's nothing special.
I'm sure the budget wasn't huge.
I feel like it's like a comfort movie, you know? It's just one of those, it's not invasive. It's just simple. It brings kind of comfort to me in some ways.
Yeah.
That's all. There's nothing about it. And I don't understand why people don't talk about it. I don't feel like it's a bothersome movie. I don't feel like it's a bad movie. Yet,
there's just so many movies. I don't know.
But yet, if you look on something like Rotten Tomatoes, you'd think this movie was just absolutely unwatchable.
I noticed that. I was like 11% for reviewers or the
critics,
and then like 43 from a viewer score. And I was like, unless that's happened over time. I'm like, I've seen worse movies, guys.
Yeah. Seriously. I don't understand it.
This would have been in the Siskel and Ebert days too, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would have been.
Did they give it 2 thumbs up? I wonder. Did they even review it? Who
doubt
knows?
it. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway. But yeah, I don't know. It was cute. It was fun. It was quick.
There's nothing to it. It's just light, breezy, and like I said, get a few chuckles out of it here and there. Like I do.
A fun little premise, you know.
I don't know. I think more people should check it out. I don't know how readily available it is. I mean, I've just always had a copy, you know, wherever I could get it, whether it be on
I'm not sure. When you told me it was on there, I was just like, I'll just go there.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of those movies that's always been a part of my collection since I was younger. And I've always had a copy of, you know, where I could.
It looks like everywhere is going to charge you at least $4 to rent it.
Yeah. So
YouTube, Apple, Amazon, Google Play, Fandango at home.
Yep.
So there you go. At least it's only $4, I guess.
Yeah. Again, there's not a lot to it. Like I wouldn't recommend people just rush out right now and just, oh my God. But if you just happen to see it,
movie.
Yeah, you happen to see it. Maybe it's a weekend. You're just a lazy weekend. You want to get a little light laugh. Again, I think it's worth a good viewing for an easy breezy.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. I laughed.
Yeah.
And probably laughed at myself for laughing because it's just like sometimes you laugh because you're like, that's just so freaking stupid. Why? And then you laugh because it's so dumb. They knew what they were doing. And then Dana Carvey, before he became so over the top that I kind of didn't care for him as much anymore. He had the Jim Carrey kind of arc for me where it was like when he got like I'm just like, okay, no. But then, so that's why I wasn't sure. I'm like, am I gonna care for this? But I mean, they just gave Dana a few moments and then the rest was fine. And it was cute and he wasn't over the top or anything. So, yeah.
And I also feel like, he did some other movies past this. And I've heard him talk about his movies on his podcast. David Spade. And
who's it with?
David Spade.
Oh, it's those two. Yeah, you said David Spade.
And I feel like he doesn't think highly of any of his movies. Like he thinks every one of them are garbage. And I'm not going to say that some of the others he did were bad or better or worse than this, but this is not a bad movie.
Some people just can't watch things they're in though either, or like they just have a different view of their own work. He could just be in that trap because I was the same way. It's really hard to watch me. It's really hard for me to listen to me. I don't know why. It gets under my, I can't, this is why I'm not lying when I say I don't know how you guys do it.
I understand. No, I get it. I understand what you mean.
I drive myself crazy. Like, how do you guys listen to me every week? How do you keep coming back? Thank you, though. I'm not going to yell at you for that. I listen to it. I'm like, I can't get through a whole pod sometimes where I'm just like, oh, shut up, would you? Yeah, anyway.
No, I understand what you mean. But I think it's probably one of his better movies that, it's the best movie he's done that he is the lead in. How about that? Or at least in my opinion. Like, I know some people would probably look at Master of Disguise and be like, oh my God, that's the funniest. I don't think that is. I think that is not
Wayne's World is where I feel like people would go.
But even that, I don't feel like he's the lead. I feel like that's still Mike Myers being more the lead than him.
Sure, I guess. So. And I mean, I wasn't one who thought that was such a great concept anyway. If I'm honest, like, fine for a movie or a skit on SNL like it was great. To make two, though, I'm like, 2 movies?
I like them.
Okay. All right.
Hey, 2 of the best Saturday Night Live movies ever made. I'll say that. And that's not a high bar.
It's really not. Because, Saturday Night Live movies, that's something we should talk about one day. Yeah. Just Saturday Night Live movies. I mean, you got Coneheads and you got the Wayne's World, and I'm sure there's others that I'm just not going to think of off the top of my head. But yeah, they're ideas they thought were so golden that needed to be a movie. Yep.
Yeah, well, I put a pin in that. Maybe come back to that. So, siblings, have you seen? Fuck was this movie? Opportunity Knocks.
Opportunity Knocks. See, he's like, it's so good, he's forgotten by the end of the pot.
Siblings, have you seen Opportunity Knocks? My God,
have you seen Opportunity?
Yeah, have you seen Opportunity Knocks? Let us know on social media at SuperMegaCrash. If you want to, send us an email at supermegacrash@gmail.com. Support the show over on Patreon. Leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcasting app, and keep up with any and all things over at pencilpaperproductions.com/supermegacrash. Links are in the show notes. Join us again next week, siblings. But until then, 1,000 points of light. Wouldn't be prudent to go beyond your limits.
This has been a Pencil and Paper Podcast Network production.